Greetings, facilitators. This is the ninth grade leadership series final Super Saturday presentation. We are focusing on agreement 4 in leadership, and today's focus is always do your best. The guiding question: how can leaders avoid self-sabotage or suffer from guilt, blame, or self-punishment? And again, at the end of this lesson, students should understand by doing your best in all things at all times, you will avoid feeling these sentiments of guilt and shame. The academic language, again, is the word impeccability, making sure students understand the importance of exhibiting impeccable speech and behavior in all things and at all times. Again, we are focusing on the last agreement of the 4 agreements. The do noun. What does the phrase, if it is to be, it is up to me, mean to you in your everyday life and as a leader? So have students discuss this. They can drop it in the chat. The phrase, if it is to be, it is up to me. So making sure they understand in life as a leader, the things that they do are ultimately really based on their ability and the amount of force and the amount of power that they put towards a particular situation. And you do that by always trying to do your best, no matter what. Agreement 4, if you just do your best, there is no way you can judge yourself. And if you don't judge yourself, there is no way you're going to suffer from guilt, blame, and self-punishment. And that is really the gist of agreement 4, to understand that by doing your best, you will never live with regret. You will never have to think subconsciously, what if I did this differently? Or, I'm to blame for this, or this happened because of my lack of effort. You did the best that you could, even if things weren't the ultimate goal that you had in mind. But students would need to focus on this theme. Also, the 4 agreements outlines under any circumstance, always do your best, no more and no less. So basically this is saying that your best may look different at times. All right, you may have a high quality performance and maybe not so high quality of performance, but it may be your best in that moment. Your hook. So the students are going to watch a clip of Olympic runner Derek Redmond, and they're going to answer the following prompts. So if you ever seen this clip, it just really talks and speaks about perseverance. He's running and he is injured during his run. Like, I think he pulled something and he's unable to run at his highest and his highest capability. However, instead of giving up, he continues to run, even having to get the support of whom I'm assuming is his father. He continues to run to complete the race. And so the goal for this is for students to say that you're to succeed and to say that their best may not always win them the award. They may not always be in first place. However, by continuing to push through their best in that moment, like he could only just basically almost walk. He wasn't even running at speed or even jogging at that moment because he was in excruciating pain. But at that moment, that was his best that he could do. So understanding what is going on during this event, I want students to be able to explain if the runner, try his best during this meet, and what other actions could Derek have taken. Like during any sports competition, you oftentimes see players who are going to get injured, who may be just put out the game or just sit on the sidelines, or some who may continue and push through the pain. And he could have very well been put on a stretcher or just sat down and waited for assistance. He continued to meet his goal in his mind. And even if it wasn't the ultimate goal of winning the competition, the goal at this point changed and he wanted to finish the race. And so in your life, I want students to answer this question. Have you ever tried your best, but you did not receive an award or accolades? If so, how did you feel? So just an emotional intelligence piece, being aware of in life, you're not going to always be on top. But if you can say to yourself, well, I try my best in that moment, that is what we're looking for in leaders and development. So let's explore. Again, your best is going to change from moment to moment. So your best will sometimes be high quality and other times it will not be as good. It is your job to do your best based on the situation, context, and your ability. Okay. So even this image, like Jordan is arguably one of the greatest NBA players of all time. He also was a pretty good baseball player, but he probably wouldn't be considered the greatest baseball player of all time. However, in each of his experiences in these roles, when looking back at documentaries, he tried his best in both positions in his life. And that's all you can ask for. You're not going to always be the best. You're not going to always be exceptional at certain things, but you can try your best based on the situation and your ability in that moment. When you do your best, again, you avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regrets. What are some examples of how practicing this agreement would transform your life? Do you tend to push yourself too hard? Do you know when you've done your best? So it's self-reflection moments, having this conversation with students, asking them, do they know when they actually push themselves too far? Do you understand when it's the best within you, and how do you recognize that within yourself? I'm sorry, they're going to review the 4 agreements, and so I'll post them right now. So again, they're going to review each 4 agreements, ensuring that they understand what each of the agreements mean, and then they will go into the actual investigate part where they'll do this activity independently. They're going to create an infographic that illustrates their goals and visions as they enter into the 10th grade. So they need to know what their vision is as a leader. How will the 4 agreements impact the way they lead? And an infographic, or it can be like a vision board, is just a compilation of images. It could be words where they're going to basically show that they actually understand the 4 agreements in a visual representation. So it's kind of like an infographic is like a collage. So they can use Google Slides to make a collage of pictures and then share that out with the group. And I will show you an example. So this infographic basically speaks to just the 4 agreements and how a student could lead. So thinking positively, being impeccable words, always doing your best, the image of some of the greatest players of all time in the NBA. Don't take anything personally. So maybe helping someone up, being impeccable in your actions and in your words, being a leader, and not speaking in a negative tone or being condescending, and always pushing for success. So they can create like little images or have little phrases on just a slide that they acquire in their Google Drive. So something super simple. And then wrapping up and closing, reading this excerpt from the 4 agreements. By doing your best, the habits of misusing your word, taking things personally, and making assumptions will become weaker and less frequent with time. So this basic excerpt speaks to, if you do your best, you're going to hit on the rest of the 3 agreements automatically. Your routines are too strong and firmly rooted in your mind to just change over time, but they will become less frequent with time if you are intentionally making the effort to exhibit these 4 agreements. So again, if you break an agreement, start over. And again, the next day, it will be difficult at first to kind of come into a habit of being intentional in your thoughts and in your actions. But each day, again, something will shift and you will begin seeing yourself transform into a leader, and you will begin exhibiting the leadership of someone who can be inspiring, and that is a role model. These are the wrap up questions for the exit ticket. So basically asking students how they feel about the 4 agreements. Do you find it easy or difficult to practice? Or if you have actually started practicing them, 1 or even more of the 4 agreements, has it changed your life? And then closure, just review the last agreement, and again, this message is to them as they transition out of high school. Readiness is to always aspire to reach to the top throughout your life, and you will face obstacles. Always rise to the occasion and be prepared to exhaust every possible option in certain situations. Never give up, and close out, and they can meet us in the Leadership Speaker Series. And that's the end of the overview for March 27th lesson plan.